Arthur Carmazzi, best-selling author and currently ranked the #4 thought leader in organizational culture in the world. And of course, author of the Amazon #1 new release, Game On, Reinventing Organizational Culture with Gamification. All right, so today we're going to be continuing our series on work gamification to basically build organizational culture. And today we're going to be talking about fear tolerance. Yes, fear tolerance and how that essentially affects gamification success. So what is fear tolerance? Well, let us continue on from where we left off in the last video. Remember, we were talking about measurement, and of course we need to be measuring at the individual level, the team level, and the organizational level. We went through all that stuff, so if you haven't watched that video, watch it now. All right, so now we're going to be looking at what essentially are the factors that contribute to people either getting really into your gamification strategies or totally checking out and saying, this game is stupid, right? Because you've met those people, right? Yeah. Okay, there's always someone, but let me explain why. And this is where we can make our games much more, our gamification, not games, much more successful. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to learn about our emotional drive. Now, emotional drive is basically the things that, well, motivate us, right? So we can call these primary motivators. Now, there are 8 emotional drives, and it starts with the emotional drive for diversity and change. Why? Because that is what creates fun. See, think about it. Now, with all these other emotional drives, you've got the love and belonging where you basically just like to hang out with your friends, or, you have a connection with somebody. And of course, you've got the recognition and significance. Hey, I'm awesome. Yeah. You watch it. Okay, and then of course you've also got achievement. Now remember, achievement doesn't actually have to be, oh, I have achieved great things. It can be, oh, I cleaned my desk, or I checked my Facebook page. Okay, but we won't get into the whole depth of achievement and how it affects you and everything else. That's a totally different video. Okay, and then of course we've got the emotional drive for excellence. Okay, I'm just gonna make that just a little bit better because even though nobody notices, I know it's cool, right? And of course, the emotional drive for challenge and growth, okay? You want me to do what? Yeah, sure, I can do it. It's like I don't know how to do it, but I'll figure it out, okay? And of course, you've got the emotional drive for contribution and responsibility, for a sense of kind of like, I feel responsible for humanity, man, and I want to contribute, and I want to make sure that our planet is still here for generations to come, and of course make sure that I also help my fellow friends and employees because I care and want to support them and contribute them, right? So you got all kinds of levels of different contribution. Then of course we also have the emotional drive for security and control. Now, so what we're going to be talking about today is diversity and security and control. So diversity, let's say you go out with your friends to achieve some kind of, or maybe let's say to play some games that you've never played before, so you're going to get some growth in there, okay, and you're going to get some achievement if you actually achieve anything within those games. And of course you're getting the love of belonging because you're out with your friends. But see, here's the thing. Do you normally go out with your friends to play games? Okay, is that a everyday thing? No, it's not. Maybe it's a once a weekend thing. Maybe it's a once a month thing. Even if you like hang out with your friends and go to the shopping mall every week, it's not like you work there. Well, maybe you do, but you're in a different place, right? Okay, so what happens is that element of diversity is really what is going to create the fun element, right? The fun element. But then there's that emotional drive for security and control, right? Because it's like, oh, I want to try this game, but oh, what if I don't do it well enough and my friends laugh at me, right? So that doesn't have to be any real danger. It could be the danger of humiliation because you suck at games, right? Or it simply could be that, you just don't want to take a risk of leaving your house to go out with your friends because it's like, oh my gosh, there's people out there and maybe they're sick, they got COVID or something, right? It's like, you go ahead, okay? So it depends on how much security you have is also going to affect how much diversity you're willing to basically do stuff for. Does that make sense? So this essentially creates what is called fear tolerance, all right? Now, the higher the fear tolerance, basically, the more fun that you can have. The lower the fear tolerance, you're kind of worried about a lot of stuff, and that, can make life a little bit more stressful. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the different elements of fear tolerance, right? So we got a couple of graphs here. Now let's check these graphs out. Now, blue is going to be the amount of diversity. So what you can get, now you look into the first graph, you can see that the blue is actually quite big, and all of the orange, which is the security and control, basically is inside that thing, which basically means this person, with the exception of maybe excellence, they'll try anything. It's like, hey, let's all go party and have some fun. It's like somebody says, hey, you want to go out for, yeah, sure, let's do it. Okay, so basically they are ready for anything new, anything, because it's all out there. They want to go and they'll spend time with their friends. They'll, do things that are going to help them grow, do some achievement. The only thing in this particular graph is essentially that little element of excellence, where they're a little bit more careful in order to kind of get that excellence emotional drive met, right? Now, let's look at the other graph. Now, this person is totally freaked out about pretty much anything, right? So the only thing that's outside here is belonging and recognition. So anything with recognition, yeah, okay, I accept that. You want to recognize me? It's like, okay. But even then, remember, see, that line is still pretty close. It's like, so do they want something from me? Or is this real? Okay, and with the love and belonging, it's like, well, you got my friends, I hang out with my friends, but oh, what if my friends don't like me? You still kind of got that in there, but you still like hanging out with your friends, so you're still, going to spend more time. But everything else, you'll notice that the blue is inside of the orange, which means that you're totally freaked out about stuff and you're not going to go out and have that much fun. Now, in gamification, what that means is that you are literally going to put up resistance to any kind of gamified work process unless you have an understanding of your fear tolerance, right? So, see, one of the key things is by helping people to identify their fear tolerance, they can go, wow, I didn't really realize that about myself. And so then you kind of start to expand your ability to essentially overcome stuff, right? And because of that, you worry less and you have more fun and you get to be involved with other people having fun at the same time and get more achievement, more growth, and of course more love and belonging without needing that large amount of security and control. Now, remember, people that are generally control freaks or micromanagers might have a little bit of difficult time with gamification. Okay, so just be aware of that and make people aware of their fear tolerance. All right, so that brings us to the next one, which is the enemies of fun are the enemies of engagement. What does that mean? Well, basically it means that if you are a person who doesn't like to have fun, or somebody that doesn't like to have fun, somebody that basically security is much, much more important than diversity, well, that means that that person is going to affect engagement. That means they're not going to be really engaged, but the worst part is that that person is also going to affect other people for engagement, which means that you need to make sure that the placement of that person is going to support the overall wellness and fun of the entire group. Remember that you're measuring individuals, but the individuals also affect teams, and the teams affect the organization. So that's why that's kind of important, right? So when we're measuring people, one of the key factors that we want to incorporate into this is how well they interact with the gamification process. And of course, are they supporting other people, their team, in the gamification process? And if they're not, well, then that will lower whatever scores or created, systems and games that we're talking about, okay, that you're putting together for the work or the gamified work process. Okay? So remember, one person can screw up everything for everybody, even though they don't mean to. Okay? It's just that element of fear tolerance may not be in line with what you're trying to do. So be aware, help these people to get over it, and if you can't, move them somewhere where maybe they don't negatively affect everybody else. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. And of course, remember that there are lots of case studies in the book Game On, okay, where you can get it at Amazon. And of course, if you want us to help your people create gamified strategies and systems for your organization, by essentially playing a game that we've designed to help your people do that, then give us a call. And of course, you can go ahead and contact us for any kind of gamification strategy, culture strategies that support gamification, especially during the pandemic, okay? And just send us an email at support@directivecommunication.com. This is Arthur Carmazzi wishing you great success.